Great. Well, hello everybody, and welcome. And I'll just add an extra voice so that I can say welcome to those in World 2, because you weren't hearing me for a second there. Well, this is, of course, the Metaverse Weekend Review, or rather the Inworld Review. And what is today's date? I'm told that I should always announce the date on these things. It's the 20th of January.
It's 20th, yeah.
And
20th of January.
And once again, we'll have it with you. Freshly re-resed, I think. I will have to see when the camera pans out. I see it panning out now. So we'll see what's happening.
It's all shiny, but I am chewing gum. You will see me chewing gum through most of this show.
Okay, that's fine by me. I don't mind about the little chewing gum. At least I won't sit in it. So welcome, Safia. You are fully resed on our camera, so we're looking good, as they say.
Yay!
How are you today?
Always good to know. Yep, I'm sorry I've been rushing around, but I've been getting ready for... we've had the press launch today for a very big event.
Indeed, we will come to that. We'll come to that. I think before this particular bit of the show went live, we actually showed a couple of clips of Winter Outline, which of course you introduced us to in dramatic style last week, didn't you?
That's right, yes, and great fun it is, skating around as an invisible avatar. I really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and would recommend everyone to go and see that, and go and see lots of the other art things that we talked about last week too. There's some amazing stuff out there. In fact, shortly after this show goes out, while the show's probably still going out at 2:00, there's going to special tour at one of the LEA things, led by Rowan, who was on the show last week.
Oh,
and I can what it is, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Ether Salon, Mal.
No. I don't know anyway.
It's a Steamland thing. What they do once a month, they have a salon where people get together and talk. There's a talk on some subject. I've given one myself on Victorian children's literature, and there's been some interesting things about early photography and food. There's been several about different kinds of food and customs and things related to Victorian times, the Steamland culture, the Steamlands culture as well. Recent talk, for example, was Victor Mornington talking about Time Lords in the Steamlands, because there's actually quite a few people in the Steamlands with TARDISes, which you may not have known, because they hide and live secretive lives. But anyway, this week's the Ether Salon happens once a month, and it's usually very interesting to go to. You go to it and you get the talk, you have a chance to ask questions, and then when the salon comes to an end, you get a little gift to take away. You can tip the venue. Well, the money doesn't actually go to the venue, it goes to the lecturer. Today, Rowan is doing a talk. Rowan, who was on the show last week, and she is taking, it's actually going to be a field trip, because she is taking people from the Steamlands around the items that she curates, and it's called Undeveloped. She's going to take people around to see it and explore it. So it sounds quite fun. I thought when we finish here, I might pop over myself.
Indeed. So might I, if I possibly get the show finished in time. Oh, good news. Okay, well, let's. And also, of course, just before this show, we ran a nice little trailer for some of your program called Designing Worlds with Elric Merlin, about to return, I believe. Hello, Sophia.
Yes, that's right. We are about to return. We will be back on Monday. We will be the first show of our new season is Monday at 2 p.m. We're actually we have a studio band show. We're not going out to show pretty this week. We have a studio band because we're going to be talking issue of griefing. And you remember
Oh,
I
yes,
talked
indeed.
about it on this show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I talked about it on this show a few weeks ago, and we talked about how there's actually been some very nasty extortion and attempts at extortion going on in both the music business in Second Life and in the fashion business too. Well, we have various people have come along very bravely to talk about this, because griefing is always an issue that does frighten people. There is a climate of fear around it, and people worrying about if they speak out against griefers, are they going to be targeted? But people have come. We've got the people from Steelyard Blues. We've got Frolic, who's going to talk about the griefing in fashion
It's been
industry.
one of the,
Robert Galland of Galland.
I was just going to say, Frolic's been one of the main targets as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Robert Galland of Galland Homes is actually an attorney in real life, and he adds some information from that side of things. And we've also got Rails Bailey, who runs security at events like SLB, and can talk about some of the things that can be done, and what you need to do, and where the problems are. So it's going to be quite a show, I think. It's one not to miss.
Okay, great. Well, I shall be there. I certainly hope in the audience to hear all that debate. What I'm going to do, we're just going to go silent for a few minutes because I'm going to get Pet Love to call us back on the recording call. She's suggesting that we reinitiate the call. So if you want to just do that, Pet Love, Sapphire and I, you can then call us back, and then we'll resume with the latest. So if you just bear with us for a moment, folks.
How's that?
Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully we might just have a little bit of a clearer audio signal for you now. So, Sapphire, welcome back, of course. Now, we have some very important news. In fact, these are, in fact, I received the press releases about this, literally about half an hour before we went on air today. So I'll hand it back to you.
I guess that you're talking about 1 billion rising.
Indeed, I am. Yes. Yes.
1 billion rising is actually a global event, which you can find on the web. Just put in 1 billion rising. It's an event that is a call to action. Based on the really staggering statistic that 1 in 3 women on the planet will be beaten or raped during her lifetime. And with a world population of 7 billion, this adds up to more than 1 billion women and girls. So on the 14th of February 2013, men and women in Second Life are going to be able to join with activists, writers, thinkers, celebrities, people across the world, and they're going to walk, dance, rise, as 1 billion puts it, as a show of unity, individual strength, and the need for change. I heard and shared it with the Prim Perfect team about the 1 billion event, and we said, wouldn't it be fantastic if we could bring it to Second Life? So then we did what we always do, which was talk to some other people and discuss ideas. I talked to Callie Klein and Equinox Pinion, and Fruit Islands and Kitty Cats are arranging for us to have the land, which is then sponsored by a group of people for a week. So what we'll do is we'll spend the first part of the week building a 4-sim stage for people to dance on. And then there'll be a kind of open day beforehand for people to have a look at it. And then for 24 hours on February the 14th, SLT time, we are going to have a dance event. It's going to run from midnight to midnight, SLT, and each hour will be a different performer. And people can come and dance and dance and dance. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So, yeah, what else can I say?
Okay, I'm sorry, but I kind of lost the Sky call for some strange reason in the middle of that, so I didn't actually sort of catch it all. But yes, this is really a reaction to a real world event going on, and it's just going to be an Inworld kind of annex to it.
Yes. Well, what we did, we've talked to the real life organisers, and they're very excited, and they want to come in World and see what we're doing if they can. We're planning on making a video. We need, at the moment, we're looking at getting, there's a special dance that goes with it. There's a video called Break the Chain. And we're looking to have that dancing world and maybe make a video with a lot of us dancing to it. But there's a lot of support from the organisation for what we're doing in Second Life. And of course, we are supporting them by doing it here. I think it's the thing about holding it in Second Life is that people who may not be able to get for various reasons, isolated, perhaps they're in an go to one of these events, perhaps they're in an area where there's no event taking place locally and they can't really organise one of their own. Or maybe, you know, they're housebound for some other reason. But they'll be able to come along to our event and dance.
Indeed. And maybe this is something that should be broadcast live if we can manage it as well as making a video.
Well,
he wonders.
That would be lovely if there were enough people who were able to film it and happy to film it, because it's, you know, it's quite a task. 24 hours. We're going to have teams of volunteers doing the volunteering bit, but it'd be lovely to have some of it filmed. I think if we could manage that.
Right. Okay. So just to refresh us again on the I gather Pat Love will be filming it amongst other people, presumably. So that's great, Pat Love. So refresh us again on the Inworld time and place again.
We can't tell you the place yet because we haven't got the land. But we will let you know when we've got it. It will start at midnight SLT on the 14th of February, which is a Thursday, and it will run for a full 24 hours, which means that whatever your time zone, you'll be able to pop in for part of it. Maybe call in before work or after work or something like that.
Right.
Or just dance all day.
A kind of virtual drop-in, really, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Now, something else. I don't know whether you've come across this, but I've found it during the week. I actually saw some photos of this on a Flickr stream, and I sort of grabbed the URL. I'm busy looking at my teleport history and world to see if I can actually find it. But it's an installation called Cityscape, and it's actually at one of the SL9B birthday games. It's still named SL9B. Oh dear, I'm looking here and I can't seem to find a history list. Okay, well, we'll see if I can get later. But this is actually old. Now, I did go there, and in order to walk around the build, I actually had to click on the ground and then object that appeared. And the reason I'm on this object was because 2,000 feet or meters away ever Second Life does. Up in the sky above this sim,
Mm,
it's like a circular planet. It's a city built on a planet, and
mm.
it therefore has I don't know, something like 3 times the square footage of an actual sim would have if it was laid out on the ground. And you literally have to walk around the sphere of this planet to navigate the city. And it's rudimentary, to say the least. In other words, the shops and the street, sorry, the streets are not full of shops yet, or
Mm.
anything like that. But they have laid out this really complex sort of, I don't know whether to call it an art installation or a budding sim, but it's fascinating because it's hanging up there in the sky. And the thing you sit on effectively gives you gravity, like we have on the real planet,
That's fantastic.
allowing you to walk around upside down and right way
Mm.
up and sideways and everything else. And
Mm.
I take it you haven't had a chance to visit that, or
I
you?
haven't. I haven't. I have seen a photograph of it. Whilst Beaumont, who's the Designing World's photographer, sent me a photograph of it with the sort of, this is fantastic. You really have got to go and see it. And I was like, yeah, yeah, that looks amazing. So yeah, I have heard about it and I'm really looking forward to going and seeing it. I think it
It
reminds
was
me, did you ever get over to see Marcus Inkpen's Shanghai build? I can't remember off the top of my head what it was called, but it was this building with lots of windows. Part of it, it was complicated. There was bridges and a house held by a huge chain, and then there was this building that looked almost like one of those. Oh God, I can't remember the artist's name. The Italian artist who cartoonist who does these images with lots of different windows and people in different windows and doing different things,
oh,
sometimes quite naughty. Do you remember? Um,
I yeah, I can't think of the name either, but I know the person you
Begins in
mean. Yeah.
Moravia or something. Well, anyway, the building didn't have anyone in the windows, but looked very much like this. And then when you found the way in, which was quite complicated, you walked up this long, long street with houses on either side of you, and it just went on and on. It's amazing. And the picture I saw reminded me slightly of that. It looks fantastic. I'm longing to see it.
It's yeah, one of the drawbacks actually is that despite the descriptions of it, in terms of square footage and what it can be,
Mm,
it does feel from the limited walking I did. I'm sure I didn't cover everything, but it does feel a bit samey. In other words, they've made the construct, but it feels like you're walking through a template with no real detail in it. But
right.
it was, it was a unique experience.
Mm,
Sort of either way you look at it. So I still can't find can't find the video. But, I'm sure if you I think was it called Cyber City or yeah,
Cyber
it's definitely
sphere or something, I think.
yeah. Okay, well we'll try and dig that up
Mm,
for folks. But it is actually I think it's at SLB9
mm,
is the sim that it's at, and it's 2000 feet above the land area, as it were. So that's sort of
right. There were
quite
some there
fascinating.
were some Sims that did have the SL9B name that weren't part of the community event, of course, because some people had separate um, events, if you remember.
Oh,
So
yes.
one of those, because there were a couple of
Um,
really nice art Sims, I remember.
right. I'm stupidly scrolling through my list here, desperately trying to find it. Yeah, that might be right. Um, yeah, I'm sure this is going to come up on blogs and various things. I did actually try to film a little there, and for some reason I couldn't get my camera to pan out to the distance I needed to,
Right.
get that wonderful distance shot that some people got. I don't know why, but so well, we'll pursue that again later. I think.
Mm,
I'm sure it's the sort of thing where somebody's going to come up with a bit of machinima clip at a later date.
I hope so.
Now,
Yes.
something else that happened this week. We sort of announced that it was happening on last week's show, but Strangelings. Now, for those who don't know, strangely things, this sim in life where people can go to investigate these, that's called strings, but uh, the main thing about them is that they're sort of being launched in an iPad app called,
Mm.
oddly enough, Strangelings. And I received earlier in the week a beta of this that runs on the iPad and in test flights. I know you're an iPad person. Did you get that or at all,
I'm
Safia?
sorry, Mal, you're really breaking up badly.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Well, I did receive this Strangelings app on the
Oh,
iPad
right, right,
um,
yes.
during the week. Have you had a chance to see
No,
that? Were you on beta for this? Or?
I must admit, I've been a bit preoccupied with 1 billion rising, so I haven't let myself in for any new games on the iPad at the moment. It's something I'll have to put aside till later.
Right. Okay. Well, I will just therefore announce that I have been playing around with it on the iPad during. It's unfortunately it's hard to get her copy either. I have to say it's very much as you can breed these animals, you will be able to sort of put them on the web and buy and sell them. So it's very much that sort of kitty cats breedable thing brought to the iPad. But obviously, there is an Inworld sim in Second Life, which is a sort of community sim for the users. I do even actually have a video clip, but I haven't actually got hold of Chris Collins, unfortunately. So I'm not going to show it today because I'd rather make sure I got permission before sharing it. But
Sure.
it's been made available to the beta testers, and basically you have a kind of panoramic 2D virtual world. It has the illusion of being 3D because of layering and different things moving at different speeds. But basically, you hatch your strangelings in this world, and then when you've got two of the adults hatched, you can match them together, and they do what adult strangelings do, and that is breed a baby strangeling who grows up remarkably quickly and looks like an adult almost immediately. But there's some really nice sort of complicated panels where you can go into not only the attributes of the given strangeling, but you can go into the genetics of the thing as well. And I think the idea is you can probably do the sort of thing Tara loves doing, which is building a genetic database and sort of
Mm,
mixing and matching your strangelings to get, really curious
mm.
results. To get a unique one, basically, that you can presumably then go and sell to other people for lots
Yeah,
of
that
virtual
that
money.
that interests me. Would you need to come in world in order to sell it, do you think? Or can you sell it via the iPad in some way?
It's a beta, but like a couple of other things on the iPad, it just seems to be linked to a web store, as it were, where you
Right.
presumably will be able to buy virtual currency for the game on the iPad via presumably iTunes. At the
Mm,
moment, it's either in test flight on the iPad, so you have to
right.
download it, and they give you they currency to play with, should I say?
Mm,
Whereas imagine the real thing, of course, when it comes out, I presume is designed to make money through
mm.
virtual
I,
food,
I wouldn't
virtual
be
goods, you name
surprised
it.
the prices that the virtual horses can get is just utterly staggering. I think one went for something like 2 million lindens at the auction at the Second Life Christmas Expo. Um, just
I
think,
know
two
that was
million
just
lindens for a
phenomenal.
virtual horse that has a short breeding life.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, it boggles belief when you think about it, but it's also the good. I mean, that was raised in such a good cause. Um,
Yes, yes. Well,
uh,
it's excellent that they do raise that money, but wow.
presumably, when runs out of breeding equipment or whatever happens to it, it will still be around to
Oh
be
yeah, she
fondly
can still
remembered.
carry
And
on writing it, just like Tara with her cats home for retired cats. You know, the cats are still there. They're still
indeed,
as cute
yes,
as ever and cuddly. They just don't breed.
yeah,
And the horses are still as pretty as ever, and you can still ride them. They just won't produce any more foals. I think it's actually
yeah. See the way
quite
some
a,
of these things
a
breed.
t- I think it's actually a problem when the animals have been made very cute, so no one wants to get rid of them, because obviously they're still hanging on the server space then. Um, because the people who are running these games are needing to use server space to record the database of who's got what and what they're like and all the background. And if the cats are still in world, that could be quite a commitment, which is why they might be keen that, you know, perhaps they go to the happy hunting ground in the sky.
Yeah, well, total retirement home. I mean, you got to remember, a lot of people don't have the prims to actually maintain looking after and breeding these things. So the idea you can actually pick up one, which is no longer functional as a breeding creature, you know, all you got to do, you know, you can then have it as a pet and
Mm.
just, you know, enjoy it
Exactly.
as that. So,
Exactly. Enjoyed the pet ownership thing. Yes, a friend of mine, I gave her one of the kittens and she promptly had it perma-petted, which is a fairly expensive thing to do, but it means they never eat food again and
oh,
they don't breed. So, you know, she treated it really like a one might, you know, a kind of neuter cat, except you didn't even have to feed it.
right. Okay. So then it becomes totally economical. It's just like you
Mm,
paid your money, your pet, and
mm,
you look after it. Ah, that's great. Well, hopefully on a future program, we'll be able to get Chris Collins, who of course is a
mm.
former Linda, to come on and talk about all this. It's yeah, apparently Philip Rosedale and I think maybe Mitch Kapoor, amongst others, and I think the people behind Osimals are all invested in this sort of project. So they're also going to pitch it,
Mm.
you know, so, quite highly on the App Store and stuff. So good luck to them all, I
Yes,
think.
well, they've
Um,
realised one of the areas where money can be made.
yep, we want a pet. And oh, I do notice that it's linked to Facebook too, which I suppose is almost typical these days. So
It
you
is
know,
really,
but
isn't it? Yeah.
you can announce on Facebook that
Mm.
you've just you know, given birth to this kitty. And oh, I actually discovered something rather alarming. You get five sort of hatch eggs, as it were, at the start, and I hatched the two adults, paired them, and then got the baby that was rapidly
Mm.
an adult. And then I tried pressing a send to web button. But I assumed this meant it sort of just posted it to the web, but it actually disappeared. Apparently, the whole critter has been assigned to the web, so I'm now down to four, maybe
Right.
three, because sent two of the five to the web. So there's a lot to be learned here. I'm finding
Can
out,
you
but
get it back? With
I
the
have.
kitty cats, they have an online version where you can keep your cats online, so you don't have to keep them in world. But you can bring them back.
It may be. I have to admit, I haven't investigated this fully. I wanted to see what it was about, and I suspect it'll be
Sure.
Tara or somebody who can give us a good breakdown on this when. Where, and of course, it is still in beta, so
Mm.
it looks, the beta is 3 months or something, and it, you know, it looks like you know, there's clearly things there that they'll react to feedback and, you know, have a more
Right.
complex system when everything comes along. But it's good stuff anyway. So, anything else? Anything else
Well,
that we haven't
yes,
covered?
something that's been
Yeah.
happening this week. I did a blog post called um, "Shine, Perishing Second Life."
Oh yes, yes.
Um,
Good name.
a lot of people spend a lot of time saying this sim and that sim are going, oh, the sky is falling in, sort of thing. and
Mm.
I looked at what was happening to some Sims, and the story isn't quite as grim as you might think. So, for example, last week I got a couple of panicked emails from people who said, I can't get to Calascaladon. You know, that gorgeous 11 sim
Yeah.
park? Absolutely beautiful. I can't get to Calascaladon. What's going wrong? Oh no, don't say they've closed it. It's so beautiful, etc., etc. So I contacted Ty to find out what was going on, Ty Tank, and good news. They're having a complete overhaul of the 11 Sims. What they are doing, they are changing some of them, and this is quite interesting, from homesteads to open space. One of the beauties of Calas Galadon is these huge open spaces anyway, like the Gulf of Loon, which is the most beautiful salt marsh. And he says, you know, that they're actually experimenting with doing it on a very low prim basis, which I'm really looking forward to see. I think this is going to be exciting to see how they landscape with quite limited prims, but that's increasingly possible now. We're down to you know,
Ash.
we have mesh, which can
Yeah.
help with land impact. Similarly, sad news, Cerridon Cauldron is closing the ground floor level, but that is because Alicio Ember, who is the amazingly brilliant creator there, who's a trained marine biologist and a trained graphic artist and brings the two skills together in his creations. Um, he is actually again doing the whole thing over in mesh, or if not mesh, but he's certainly redoing it, and he's been itching to do it for quite a while, and he very
Mm.
kindly put it off so that we could do the golden mirror, the blackened mirror there, and do some stuff after the blackened mirror, like the game's going on for a bit, but now
Yeah.
he's got his sim back, as it were. And he's embarking on this long on this program of redevelopment. So very exciting, and that's
I mean,
good.
it's actually understandable, really. I mean, if an artist designer has actually done a build, they may be really proud of it, but after 2 years of looking at the same thing, they probably think,
Yeah,
what I
absolutely.
want to do
They want
another
to
one.
change it. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So,
Now,
yeah.
other changes that are happening. We Gabriel Real, for example, has been running a sort of turn of the century New Orleans set of Sims called New Toulouse, and she's left those. But there is someone taking over the New Toulouse brand and carrying on the Sims. Gabriel's not going away. She's set up this collection of really pretty Sims called Witchwood and Witchport and Cantar, which have a kind of Victorian mystery, mystique, edging on elvish kind of. Think of the world of Neil Gaiman's Stardust. I think it's along those
Oh,
lines.
right.
Really.
I'm actually looking at the blog now with one of the pictures there, which was,
Mm.
yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of a change. New Toulouse is going on in a slightly different form, and we've got a new thing happening. And, you know, even where you've got something like Alchemy Immortalis, there you've got the situation. They've been running their stores, and they've also been running 4 extra Sims where they've had bed and breakfast. And it's gorgeous Sims, absolutely adore them. They're so beautiful. And they've now decided to
And,
give those up and focus on the store sim. And on the one hand, it's really sad that those will be going away. But on the other hand, the thought that Alchemy and Immortalis will be able to concentrate on uh, creating new things for their stores, this is not a bad thing.
yeah. I was curious. I almost interrupted there when you said bed breakfast. That sounds intriguing. But how did that work?
Yes.
See, I know you got overnight, like a hotel stay on the
Yeah,
Sims.
they actually designed these not to be permanent homes for people, but places where you could come in for a holiday and stay briefly. Although, of course, many of them did find semi-permanent owners, but you always understood in perhaps a way that you don't understand in some other places, that what you were basically taking on was a rental and not a home. And I think that was quite a good way of doing it. But it did mean that they were kind of constantly having turnover in tenants, which is a bit wearing. Okay, so in addition to those ones, um, all of this has kind of got a downside and upside. Armada Breakaway, which is based on the China Melville novels, where you have these pirate ships, steampunk pirate ships, lashed together, and a world of giant monsters and mutated humans and all this sort of thing. Really, really interesting.
I
Um, that's going
I've been
away.
there several
Yeah,
times. That is a shame.
yeah. But
It's sad, but I did like it.
it is a shame because it was pretty unique. But and it's kind of an only in Second Life thing that you can do it. But the active pirates have found a new home. So the people who've been active in Armada Breakaway are moving on to a new home. So they'll be having fun. Um, and but so quite often what seems to be things that are dying is really just people moving on, or people changing what they have and making it better. But
Mm.
that's sadly not always the case. And there've been a couple of things in Second Life that were really sad to hear about. One of which we've been able to stave off for a month. Um, the first one is the Swedish embassy, which was
Oh
actually
yes, yes.
a real life embassy that has closed. That, and they're now talking about it as a project that's come to an end, and
Mm.
that is a shame.
Yeah, I think they had official funding and it's run
Yeah,
out basically. Yeah.
yeah, and it's obviously, had Second Life gone in another way, they would probably have renewed that funding, but it hasn't, so they haven't.
Yeah. I mean, one of the nice, well, I don't know if nice is the word, but one of the heartening things I should say with this is that the community seems never go away. I mean, as you say, we're losing a mother breakaway, but the pirates, the people that hang out there,
Yeah,
those residents, are
yeah,
obviously finding other places to go to. So, although we may lose the bit of land in that particular installation, for want of a better word, build, the community keeps on. It maybe
yes,
migrates somewhere else or condenses, but it's still there, which is always a good sign. That
it is.
the disappearance of the Sims does not necessarily equate with the disappearance of residents. So.
Yeah, yeah, and when it means they're moving on to new things, or things are being redesigned, that can be good. But then you have the other side, and somewhere I only found last week is the most beautiful little French francophone sim. French is spoken there, um, called Arcachon, which is based on the region of Aquitaine by the Gironde, where the Gironde meets the Atlantic, and among other things has the largest sand dune in the world there. And it's a very pretty little sim. And they had this scheme, and they were getting funding to develop in-world language courses so that people could actually go there and have an immersive experience in speaking and writing French, which I think is
Uh,
quite a clever use of. of The Sims. So they had that. They have lots of other things. There's little tours you can take around. There's plenty of fascinating things to see. There are games to play. There's a balloon trip. There's you can hunt for the flags of the European Union, which are hidden all over the sim. Lots and lots to do. You can take a paddle boat. You can paddle yourself, or you can take a boat excursion. So it's packed with things to do, and there's a bandstand for music and all this sort of thing. And it was closing. The funding for the Francophone Institute, the Language Institute, had stopped, and they were running out of money. And putting their hands in their pockets to find $295 every month is not easy, even when you've got a
No, not at
beautiful
all.
sim that is packed with things to do and explore. And
So have they actually gone, or is there a few weeks left to catch them?
well, what happened was they were closing within 5 days when I first went over there.
Ooh,
And I wrote a blog post. I don't think it was solely that. I think word got out generally. But within the next couple of days, they had raised enough money to go forward for another month. But that's just one more month. I mean, they will need to come up with something
yeah.
really within the next month to develop sustainability. So it may just be a chance for everyone to go and see it. But
I,
the
I was just
longer
thinking. I was just thinking the same thing. So what location are they at again?
it's
Roughly,
called Arcachon Atlantique, with
right.
Atlantique spelt in the French way.
Yeah.
So QUE at the end rather than C. And it's certainly
Right.
worth a
So
visit, a good
it's that.
and you'll like it because you can play games. I know you
Yes,
like
exactly.
hunting
It's
things. Yeah.
something with that too. So do they charge for the
No, 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 no,
games,
no,
or
no.
is it generally speaking?
But you can give tips. So
Right. So
you
they're
can
not.
donate to the sim, and I think it'd be lovely if people could go and explore and donate and hopefully keep it going for a little longer till they see if they can find some way
Yeah.
of keeping it going permanently.
One of the bigger sort of seemingly very well established open sims is Franco Grid, in fact. So one wonders if there might be a home for them on that.
There could
Although
be,
that
yes.
was in
But
second life. Yeah.
well, one of the charming things that they've got is they've got a little farm with farm animals that you can visit, and those farm animals obviously could not go onto OpenSim Grid because they've been bought from John Haskell.
Right. So they're locked in. But that yeah. Well, that's an old argument. Portable inventories.
Yeah, yeah. Which isn't
Yeah,
fair
so
when
it'd be
the
lovely.
designers. Yeah, we could fight this one all day. I would say it's not fair when the designers haven't, have said that they want it just on one grid. And
Yeah.
really, what should have happened when Linden Lab took over SLX, SL Exchange, they should have at that point made a multi-grid selling point, and then I think designers would have been quite happy to sell to various grids, and I think things would be looking quite different. Mind you, they might be looking quite different because other grids would be prospering at Second Life's expense, so maybe they weren't so crazy after all.
Yeah, two sides to every argument, really. Although, I mean, lots of people do reckon that they look at Linden Labs and all the income that comes into Linden Labs, be it via virtual goods, via rentals, tier, everything else. They've got their fingers in every aspect of it, and that actually means they are, if they had the inspiration, sort of ideally placed to be a kind of hub for crossword
Absolutely.
stuff. But
Yeah.
somebody at some point is going to end up running a crossworlds inventory system. If they had the vision, Second Life could easily do that. But
Yeah.
it remains to be seen. Maybe you'll just have your inventory on an iPad and something. Oh, you'll have a game called Inventory on the iPad. Who knows?
Yes, which would allow you to download your clothes too, whichever grid you happen to be on at the time. Yeah.
Well, you could have a dressing iPad, couldn't you? One of the things I love about I don't go to them very much, but like IMVU and some of these other sort of virtual worlds,
Mm.
is that one of the first things they do is they give you a switch out room, as it were. That is a dressing room. So you just
Right.
go, unlike right click, customize my avatar in Second Life, you actually go into a dressing room, you dress yourself. And, if I could have my entire wardrobe as a wardrobe that I can visually
Mm.
see and decide what costume I want to wear, or little icons of the objects in my inventory so that I could actually, because I've got unnamed things and I spend all the time searching for stuff. And I'm in a very visual world like Second Life is. I'm dying to actually see my assets visually, so I know what I want to wear, so I know what I want to put on. And instead, I've got this wild complex of folders with no visual thing at all. It'd be
Mm.
just nice to have a program that was a visual inventory that you could manage, away from Second Life if necessary.
I
But we
think it
dream
would.
on.
Yeah.
We dream on.
Yes, and it would be so lighter on their servers too. Let's
It
tell
would.
them that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they would gain in that respect as well. Right. Well, there are always issues coming up here, aren't there? I love
All
this
right.
ad-lib conversation because we start on one thing and we end up way all over the place.
Well, I should just
So,
tell you before we round this off. Um,
mm,
Designing Worlds is not the only show coming back this week, because Happy
oh,
Hunting is coming back too on Friday. So
ah,
that's one for you.
okay.
And there
And
are
there
some
are,
amazing hunts going on at the moment. You can actually they do the Hunt News interview at the beginning of the show. They actually do it in this beautiful little house that is a hunt prize. The house itself that they sit and carry
ah,
out the interview, and it's a lovely little house by El Crescendo, and it's a hunt prize. You can just find it on a hunt, and there you've got a new home.
yeah, actually,
Hmm. It's a nice
do you
little
know which?
house. Yeah. Sorry, do I know which hunt it is? I can't remember,
No,
and you're going to have to watch the show.
yeah, yeah, no, I think I actually got a house on a hunt recently. It's packed. I think it's something I've already found. But yeah, in the holiday season, it's played by months. Could
Oh,
possibly do them
that's
all.
amazing.
I've got to agree. There's massive people going on.
Mm.
We seem to be a real boom in hunts at the moment. I don't know whether it's the time of year or what, but it certainly beats plying around in the snow, doesn't it?
It does. Well, it's running. I think you start with the Halloween, then you hit Christmas, and then you have Valentine's Day. So it's kind of the frenzy of this end of the year. Things will calm down afterwards, she says, hopefully.
Yeah, when the big thaw comes,
That's
or,
right.
or summer, if that ever comes again.
Yeah.
Right now, talking of RL phenomenons,
Mm,
I think we should we should use this little opportunity for anybody in London or near
mm,
London in the UK to announce that we are probably going to be having a little meetup next Saturday.
that's right.
Aren't we?
6 p.m. in
It's
the Goat Tavern in Kensington High Street, is it?
yes, yes. It's if you're on Kensington High Street heading toward Kensington Gardens, it's literally more or less opposite Kensington Palace, which is where it used to be this place. I'm not quite sure who's in it now. I think it's Edward, isn't it? But yeah, the big Royal Palace you can't miss, and there's a
Mm.
sort of big hotel there on Kensington High Street, and its pub is just right there, and it's basically a sort of hello and goodbye sort of event for who's going back
It's for
to
Otens.
America. Oh, Teth.
Yes, he's been over for a couple of months, and he's made gallant efforts to get out around the country and see as many of us as possible. He's he's a figure in the Steamlands, and he's been over for a couple of months, taking a sabbatical. And he came up to Oxford. He's been up to Scotland. I think he's been over to Wales. He's gone down to the West Country. He's sort of gone around, seen quite a lot, and met quite a few people. He'll be flying home on the 30th. So this coming weekend is kind of his last chance to touch base with people and even meet some new people. And so we're getting together at Kwame's pub, weather permitting, because London is pretty snowed in at the moment, isn't it, Mal?
Yes, yes. I woke up this morning and we don't seem to get it where I am. I guess it's very deep in the city, but we had a sprinkler a couple of days ago, and we certainly had an additional sprinkling, if that's the word, today. So yeah, it all looks nice and white, but best viewed from
Yeah,
indoors is my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah. Or maybe through an open door saying, "Oh, doesn't it look pretty?" Yeah, and then closing
Yes,
it fairly
indeed.
firm. Yeah.
In other words, it's made for our cameras, not for our
Yes.
bodies.
What a good way of looking at it. Yeah. Yeah. But next
Indeed.
week, next Saturday at 6 p.m., there's going to be a real life meetup. So if people would like to come along, if they're in the UK and close enough to get to the meetup, it'll be lovely to see you, meet you. I'll be there. Mal will be there. There.
Yeah. We'll
That's that's
yeah, we
persuasion
will both
enhanced.
be there. We'll
Yeah.
both be there in the flesh. What more could you ask? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to
I
have
don't think it's
a talk in
quite once in a lifetime, I hope. I hope we'll have others as well. But yeah.
that.
Okay.
Those rare opportunities. Okay, wonderful. I can't think of anything else right now. We've covered
Good.
just about everything. I'll
Good.
definitely be at the debate tomorrow.
Excellent. Yes,
That sounds like it's
it's going to
going
be
to
a
be
good show.
a
It's a good
yeah,
show. Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you then. And yes, have a good week. I guess everyone have a good week.
Okay, and we'll see you back here next week, of course.
Yeah.
So that's it from Inworld, folks. Thanks to Safir for joining me, as ever. And we're going to depart. And for those of you watching live, will know that I realised that we're going to be going back to our sort of organical kind of studio. But before we do that, we're going to show a few clips, sort of get ourselves adjusted, as it were. I'm actually going to give us time and everything else. I'm actually queuing a clip called "Stolen Moment," which is a new machinima type video that arrived this week. So have a look at that. We'll see you back in World next week, and if you're watching live on live stream, we'll see you in a few minutes.